Last question. You're with the president. You go to these cabinet meetings. You're in the room where the decisions are being made. Tell us about that relationship with President Trump.
Well, let me just say this. President Trump is exactly the opposite of everything that I believed him to be. I basically drank the Kool-Aid that he was this, bombastic narcissist who didn't read books, was ill-informed. And then, now I know exactly the opposite. He's the opposite of a narcissist. He's an empath. You will see that every time he talks about the Ukraine war, he talks about the casualties on both sides. You will not hear any Democrat ever talk about that. And he talks about the Russian kids who are dying. He gets the reports every week, and they make a huge impression on him about the death rate. 1,000 kids a day are dying over there. My son fought in Ukraine, and he's the only member of his military unit who survived. And he understands that these are people's children. And he talks about that. And then also, he has encyclopedic molecular knowledge on this wide range of very, very eclectic interests. Music, Broadway shows, pro wrestling, football, every sport, golf, and business and Wall Street. He knows how everybody made their money and what deals they made. And he tells stories all the time about it. It's just one after the other. And one time during the campaign, I was on the airplane with him, and we were sitting across the table from each other eating McDonald's, drinking Diet Coke. And we started talking about Syria, and he got a placemat, and he turned it on its back, and then he took a Sharpie and he drew a perfect map of the Mideast. And then he put the troop strength of every country on every border on that map. And it just, it challenged a lot of the assumptions that I had been told about him. He has, he has this extraordinary depth of knowledge about what's happening in each one of the agencies, my agency and the others. And, and then he has an instinct for making good choices.
Well, I have to say that.
And I would say this. I think my uncle, John Kennedy, understood the use of power better than any president who's preceded him. I think Donald Trump understands the use of power better than probably any president that we've had, at least since Roosevelt and maybe in American history.
I'm going to add one more, and I know I just have to ask this. If your dad were alive today, what would he say about you and what you've done?
I mean, everything that I've done in my life and the choices I made in my career are choices that I think my father and my uncle would support. I think that if they were around today, that they would be making the same kind of choice that President Trump is about Iran, about Ukraine, about trying to raise up the middle class. I'll tell you something that I grew up in a Democratic Party when the Democrats owned 30% of the wealth and the Republicans owned 70% of the wealth. And today, it's exactly the inverse. The Democrats own 70% of the wealth, and the Republicans own 30% of the wealth. And the Democrats are no longer on the side of the middle class. They're contemptful of it. And President Trump is completely committed to farmers, to firemen, to police, to people who are working in this country. And that was the Democratic constituency that I grew up with.
Well, I want to say God gave us President Trump, and I'm so glad God gave us you to serve our country. Thank you, and God bless.